You know, it's in the first days of this pandemic, and even maybe in the first weeks, a lot of governments and a lot of politicians were talking about this pandemic as a war. But in my opinion, it's not really a war, because, for example, after a war is finished, is ended, people are really happy and they are really eager to go on restaurants or bars and drink together, eat together, spend money.
Of course,
even
we would like to eat together and to drink together, of course.
Oh yeah, especially drink in Russia, I would say.
Yes. Where is my vodka?
Ok, ci siamo. Ammetto, Aleksandra, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, Stefana.
Hi, Aleksandra. Good morning.
Hi.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you. How are you?
I think you have to turn on the video.
The video, yeah. Turn on my video.
Okay, Here we go. Perfect.
Now it's okay.
Cool. How you doing?
Not so fine as I wish. I apologize in advance for speaking not too fast, because I have been working in home office for a long time, and I think that I got lost the skills of talking to people.
No problem at all. It's perfectly understandable. And if you're smart working, if you're at home, you have more chance to watch Netflix or US programs, so you can train your English.
I've tried to, yeah.
Cool. Aleksandra, first of all, I'd like to thank you for accepting our invitation to this podcast.
Thank you for you. Thank you for your invitation and for this opportunity to take part in your project. I think that your podcast will be really so interesting, fascinating, and interesting for designers, of course.
I think so. And, we are talking and interviewing different players and designers or architects from all over the countries. So it's pretty interesting to understand their point of view in this particular period and time, historical time that we are all living.
Not easy time.
Not easy at all. Not easy at all. And so, Aleksandra, I'd like to start right away. And the first question that I'd like to ask you is to give, let's say, a description of yourself, of your job, and what you do to understanding what is your profession.
Okay, so my name is Aleksandra. I'm the product manager of the Decaro company. Our company is known in Russia and in Europe as a leading distributor of premium designer wall coverings and fabrics. We deal with a lot of European editors like KT Exclusive, like San Giorgio, Italo Reflexes, as you know, it's Italian editors. Jim Brown and Wallquest from the US, Tim Willman from England, and so on. Nowadays, we exclusively represent in Russia the best collections from those editors. It's about 200 collections of wallpaper that we have in exclusive rights. Also, we have several retail showrooms for designers, for interior designers, and for architects. They are located in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, and in Nizhny Novgorod. It's also rather big city, not far from Moscow. So we have a wide range of European and American wall coverings and fabrics in paints, of course, in our showroom. As far as I'm concerned, I'm in charge of marketing, I'm in charge of assortment policy and product management in general. Together with my marketing team, we do our best to make the Decaro products demandable on Russian market.
Yeah, I think you are you're doing pretty well, because your company is definitely one of the point of reference in terms of
Thank you.
wall coverings vendors in Russia. This is also why I was so interested in knowing your point of view as well, in terms of how your country and your company is facing this particular
COVID.
situation in time, seeing this COVID-19 pandemic.
I understand your question, and actually, the situation in Italy, for example, and in Russia are different now, because now Russia is at the peak of COVID-19. We have about 300,000 sick people now, but thank God the situation is not getting worse. But almost the entire of business is closed for about 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, this is a huge loss, a huge trouble for all people. Millions of people in Russia got lost their job and income. All restaurants, cafes, shopping centers, fitness, education field, for example, and non-food shops are still closed. And of course, the unemployment rate now is critical in our country. Many people cannot even pay for their loans. And also, there is no support from our government, because, as you know, Russia, of course, is a rich country, but only for 1% of its population who has gas and oil, not for us. So it's really trouble, and I don't know how we will do with this financial crisis, first of all. But Russians never give up. Also, really only about 30% of population believe in the COVID-19. The rest blame government for this artificially created situation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially the population from 25 to 35 to 40 years old. If you're talking about old people, eldest people, of course, they believe to the news, to television, to newspapers, and to our government. But if we are talking about young people, they don't believe at all. They blame government for this artificially created situation, which was designed to cover up the consequences of the oil crisis. You know, Russian economy and Russian financial system is deeply mixed with the price on oil. And so after the crisis connected to prices on oil, we have deeply financial crisis now. Yeah. And we are scared, we're scared this crisis, this financial crisis, scare us more than COVID-19, really so. So about almost 30% of people believe in popular theory of world conspiracy of Bill Gates cheating, you know this theory. It's really it's very popular theory in Russia.
That's definitely pretty interesting. I remember I was talking in January with Mikhail from Energy Interni, which is our agent and helped us to connect together for this interview. And I remember saying to him In Italy right now, it's a pretty bad situation. We're talking about January 2020. It's a pretty bad situation in Italy, and with this COVID-19 is starting really to get serious. And Mikhail told me, I'm seeing everything, but the first problem right now in Russia is the oil crisis. The fact that the price of oil fell down
And the
deeply.
currency of rate, the
Exactly.
value of euro, currency of dollar currency, yes, of course. At the end of February, I was in Rome.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, I was in Italy. I was in Rome with my family, and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
I was not scared of COVID-19, absolutely.
It came overnight, all of a sudden,
I
everybody.
couldn't believe in it.
That's crazy. And yeah, so it's the Russia situation is even worse for some point of view than other countries, because there is a mix of COVID-19 pandemic
Yeah.
and financial situation, a bad financial situation based to the falling down of the oil price. I was also wondering, and let's say understanding your point of view in terms of how do you think COVID-19 will impact the interior design and the architectural field in Russia from your perspective?
First of all, of course, for our business, it's a rather hard time. Of course, our consumers are mostly people with a high income, but they also have a hard time. So first of all, it's rather difficult time for interior design, for interior business, for all kind of business. But if we are talking generally about interior design field, for example, in our country, I would like to say the following. First of all, the cancellation of the main event of the year is the International Fair in Milan put the design into a dead end. No trends, no communication, no new products, no new technology. So it's like the collapse. I know that many designers have difficulties with new ideas. They don't know what to do. They don't know what trends will be. They don't know what to look for. It's really a trouble, and they try to deal in this situation. But also, I know that many other designers, interior designers and architects, try to rethink the meaning of the word interior design. For example, they try to use more and more different colors and to use natural materials in their projects to make the home is more and more pretty, more and more smarter to live in. I mean to live in for 24
Yeah.
hours. It's very important. So this thing. So it's some new kinds of trends in finding some materials and colorful ideas. It's the first thing. Also, many of them try to offer to their clients to create some working places in their homes. I mean, for the purpose of home office. Because working in a kitchen, in a dining room, of course, in a bedroom, it's a disaster. Believe me, because I have been
I know,
working
I
in
know.
my
I've experienced the same.
it was a really disaster. I feel crazy about it. So to try to create some working spaces in the homes, because um, it's really terrible for Russia, because we're not used to work at home. Absolutely, it's not for Russians, and we can't even imagine to create some home office places in our homes. It's absolutely new. It's brand new idea for Russian market as a whole. I think if we're talking about the designs, I may talk about these two things. they are. I think I consider they are the main.
Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting because I think that with this situation and with this pandemic, a lot of countries have been forced to act in a way, for example, working from home, and they were not used to do that. In Italy was the same situation.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe different in US, for example, or in Northern Europe, where they are more used to work from home, or even the hours are a bit different. But in some
Mm-hmm.
countries like ours, it's something that we had to learn right
Of
away
course.
to do. And I'd like to get back to what you said before regarding the Milan Salone del Mobile exhibition. Of course, you said that this is something pretty bad for the designer and architectural community, because there is no this event. There's not there is no way to see the new products for
No
real and
opportunity,
live.
yes, to get acquainted with new trends, with new products of
Yeah.
different suppliers, different editors from all over the world.
And based on this, do you think that the digital revolution, the use of digital technologies such as social media, yeah, that manufacturers and companies can use to show professionals the new trends, is something that will be useful for the Russian designer community, or
Yes, of
rather you
course, yeah.
don't think so?
I fully agree with digital revolution. I think it's right question from you. I fully agree with this word. First of all, we all have to be more digital, more ready for working online. For example, we should use all of the messengers and other digital channels to connection with our audience. For example, I've spent my quarantine time um, designing our new website for our company and launching some digital services. For example, sample service with free of charge delivery for our customers. We are going to do it firstly with our stock wallpaper, and after that we'll think about the result. Also, we invest money for digital advertising. We have launched rather strong advertising company in our Instagram, and now it brings us first results. And of course, we have spent a lot of time with our sales team to organize sales through messengers, through Skype, through WhatsApp. It was really difficult.
Oh yeah.
So of course, digital revolution is our future. But I can't say that we should stop doing our business in showrooms right now, right after this quarantine, and to start doing only digital. No, I think that it will be some kind of period, some years, like about 5 years, maybe 3 years. It depends on the country, of course. For example, in US and Europe, US and Europe are more digital than Russia, and there are some digital process, um, which are rather difficult to organize in Russia because it's too big. For
Hmm.
example, if I'm talking about sample, it's not easy to organize the delivery, the fast delivery from Moscow to Vladivostok, for example. It's and east end of our
Yeah.
country. It's 7,000 kilometers and 8 hours by plane, if you can imagine. So it's not easy to organize that sample service, so it will be fast. It's too expensive. So
That's
our the size of our country is really a huge problem, and sometimes to organize some digital and fast things.
definitely. I mean, this is one of the most difficult thing in, I think, in Russia to do, because you're
Yeah,
talking about the same country, but it's like, I mean, Moscow and east end of Russia, Siberia, it's so far away one
yeah.
to another, and it's like talking about two different countries, and sometimes people don't realize that. And
Mhm.
always talking about the digital innovations and these new strategies that vendors and professionals are putting in place. How do you think will be the role of important vendors like you or sales agents in the near future? How do you think they will have to change in order to keep up with the new reality?
First of all, I would like to say that we work in a field where it's very important not only to look at the product, but also to touch. For example, all of our designers would like to check the color by their eyes and to touch the materials, to check the material by their hands. It's very important. That's why sales agents in Russia will be still in demand after this world emergency. But of course, we should create some digital service and do digital marketing and be more faster, I think.
Yeah, no,
To
it's definitely
offer.
always a combination of personal relation between professionals or sales agents and vendors, and also the new use of digital technologies. But as you said, I agree 100%. We work in a field where it's very important to touch the material, to see the material,
Yeah.
to combine and mix materials together to see how the final look is. We are not selling websites, we're selling actual products, so
Yes,
it's
of
important
course.
to touch them.
Yes, yes. It's interior, the field of the beauty. It's like a beauty beauty for our homes. I
Yeah,
can't imagine that I'll choose some dress or to cut my hair, to dress up my hair
yeah, without seeing.
without communication with the person who will do it. And the same, if we're talking about our homes, of course, we should look, we should touch, and after that, we'll make a decision. Of course, maybe our children will be different enough from us, but it will be after 5, 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
but not tomorrow, I think.
And
Yeah.
talking about more generally about your country, Russia, and your city, Moscow or St. Petersburg, where you also have a location, a showroom. What is your visions and thoughts about your market and your country, about Russian market and Russian country, and in the next future, in the next year, 2 years? Do you think that Russia will be able to recover quickly, or it will take more time to get back to where it was before the pandemic?
Uh, um, I'm sure that our country won't be able to recover quickly because, as we discussed before, there are two big problems now. It's COVID-19 and it's our financial crisis. So some financial person says that it will take about 2 years to recover for our country, to recover to the stage, to this level before this crisis. And it will be a rather hard time for us, but we should spend it with our brains. We should think about the time after these 2 years, and we should invest our money, our energy, of course, and our brains to new ways of doing business. I think new methods, to new ways of communication, to creating new channels, to connection to audience, to creating some new products, maybe
Yeah.
some products in medium price level for our audience. I think something like this. And of course, it will be more clear to talk about this situation after this COVID crisis, because, for example, we have been working in a format of home office for a long time, but last week we get a chance to come out from our homes and
Yeah.
to come back to office. It was only last week. Our government obliges us to issue some special passes. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
It looks like QR code, and it gives me the right to come out from my home to go for work. Yes, it looks like this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's all of my orders, and if I tap it, it will be like QR code. It's for police. So if I go out and if policemen meet me and ask me, what are you doing here? I should show this QR code to him and to explain
this.
that
Cool.
I want to
The,
go for work. Yes, and I
this is a
may.
similar method also used in China with WeChat.
Yes, it's really so. It's absolutely terrible, but we don't have any other chances to go out. And this QR code, I may use it from only from Monday to Friday. But if I'd like to go out on Saturday, for example, I may do it one time a day to buy, for example, some food or to go for a walk with my dog. But if I don't have a dog, for example, I have a cat.
No.
I'm not able to go out. It's so funny.
That is the same.
Yes,
It was the
really,
same in Italy.
it's
Same
some
thing.
funny
Same
stuff
thing.
too. Yeah,
Same
one
thing.
time on Saturday and one time a day and Sunday, and go for a walk from Monday to Friday. And I'm not able to visit some shopping centers, of course, just to drive my car and to go to office and to go back home. That's all.
That's similar to the situation that was in Italy 2 weeks ago as well. The only different part is that we didn't have the QR code, and
Yeah.
on the phone we had printed self certificates on paper that
Oh, really?
changed every day. So everybody was freaking out actually. So maybe it was better to have a QR code in that sense. Was maybe was easier. Um,
I don't know, because we should think about Bill Gates chipping
oh yeah,
like
yeah.
one. Yes, it's Bill Gates.
That's
It
the
was
yeah,
conspiracy.
that's the conspiracy theory going on. And as you said, so today is May 19th, and you are reaching the peak in these days, basically in
Mhm.
Russia. And what will be the next steps? Do you already know something from the government or not yet? Are you going in a second phase in maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, like Italy did, or you don't know yet from the government?
We have the following official news that now we are on the peak, and after, for example, 1 month, we will be able to go out for our jobs, but not all of the business. For example, first of all, our government promised us to open non-food shops. So, like our showrooms, for example, after 1 month, maybe we will have a chance to open our doors for our customers. And such kind of business like restaurants, cafes, and shopping centers will be opened in July or even August. Of course, if we will believe to the news of our government,
Sure.
because we are not sure that it will be, but we believe that we will have a chance to open our showrooms in 3-4 weeks.
And
Because
when
now I'm in the office,
mhm.
and our office and our showroom are located in different buildings in different places in Moscow. So all of the staff from office work in office, and our staff from showrooms now closed in their homes.
And when are you opening? Which rules you will have to follow? How many people can enter in the showroom? Just one per time, and they have to wear masks and gloves. Do you know
Yes, of
already
course.
something?
Not gloves, because gloves is absolutely crazy, but our government obliged us to wear masks. Actually, I should be in mask right now.
Yeah, me too. Let's do this.
Yes,
We can.
but I don't have it. I should go to another room. I should be in mask right now. Really, we should wear masks everywhere. But of course, we don't do it at our homes, in our
Sure.
cars, and in the office if we don't communicate to other people. But if we're talking about transport or, for example, food shops, of course, yes, we should wear masks. We will be obliged to do this, and if we will open our showrooms, of course, we buy a huge range of different masks
Yeah.
and some special liquid for our hands with
Safety items.
yes, of course, and um, to provide them to the customer.
But do you think there will be less clients and less customer visiting the
Yes,
showroom?
of course, yes. Firstly, on the one hand, some people are really scared of this illness. It's of course so. And on the other hand, a lot of people are in financial crisis. And also, the customers with high income have also hard time. So I think that they they want to be ready to spend their money right after the quarantine time. For example, our government will say us that from the 1st of June, um, like quarantine time, it's it's
It's a yeah,
final.
yeah.
Yes, and we may go out, we may buy something, we may go to restaurants, to cafes. No, it won't be some kind of a fantastic day. No, because first of all, the reason is the quantity of money in our pockets, and of course, all of a lot of people will think about it,
Yeah.
and they will think about what they should buy.
You know,
Really.
it's in the first days of this pandemic, and even maybe in the first weeks, a lot of governments and a lot of politicians were talking about this pandemic as a war. But in my
Mm.
opinion, it's not really a war because, for example, after a war is finished, is ended, people are really happy and they are really eager to go on restaurants
Mhm.
or bars and drink together, eat together, uh, spend
Of
money
course,
even.
we would like to eat together and to drink together, of
Oh
course.
yeah, especially drink in Russia, I would say.
Yes. Where is my vodka?
Yeah.
And where is my beer? Sorry, I should take a glass of vodka and to dance with my beer. Mm.
And wine as well, if we want to keep it a bit Italian. But that's the thing. So it's really different from a war, since even after the pandemic it's over, or at least that we will be able to get to go out and go on restaurants and shops. People still will be, I think, a bit scared, and also restaurants have to keep some safety measurements. For example, having less tables in a room, maybe have some plexiglass separation between tables. And I'm not really aiming to go in a restaurant if I have to eat with gloves and masks and having a plexiglass between me and my friend. I would rather stay home and
I can't imagine that it will be in Italy like you have just described. to
Yeah,
sit
it
in
will be
your
very difficult.
fantastic restaurants with your pizza and pasta and with mozzarella,
Oh yeah,
gloves. No,
it's
to drink prosecco in gloves, I
no,
can't.
you cannot say that, no. And of course restaurants and bars are one of the field that has been impacted the most, as well as tourism.
Yeah.
And unfortunately
Mhm.
Italy has a lot of interest in terms of tourism and restaurants, so our country has been impacted really heavily. And so I'm actually glad that I can speak with different people from different countries to understand also their point of view, because I'm seeing that basically in all over the countries the situation is more or less the same. In some countries
Mhm.
more, in some countries less, but the situation and how people are reacting to this situation is really similar. And this is interesting because this is the very first experience that we are living all together worldwide for the first time in history, connecting each other with social media and seeing what is going on in other
Yeah.
countries as well. So this is interesting. And yeah, of course, also I think Russia and other countries. It will take a bit of time to recover completely from this, and it's a pity
Yes, of
because I
course, we
think we
should
were
believe
starting
in better
to.
times.
Oh yeah, as always.
As always, yes.
Alexandra, it was really interesting to talk with you regarding several situations and topics, and I'm actually looking forward to visit you in Moscow as soon as I can, so that we can
Yes, of
drink some
course, you
vodkas
are
together.
always welcome. We will be waiting for you. Stefano, one question.
Yes,
I would like to ask you about this painting on my
yeah.
screen. I would like to ask you from the
I I,
beginning
f-
of
I
our interview,
I forgot to
what's
mention.
the
Usually I mention this at the beginning of the video, but this time uh,
yes, because I
I
look at
forgot.
you and this painting.
Yeah. So basically,
What's this?
this is our the creative director of Tecnografica, Marco Fontana, which
Oh,
Andrew during our conversation, and yeah, exactly. And this is how we
I saw the
imposted our video.
ducks.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? They were two
Two
ducks.
ducks, yeah,
Who
and
are
some
they?
and,
It's
and some
me and
birds.
you.
I don't know. I don't know. This is up to the mind of Marco. But this is how we decided to organize our video podcast. So with me and the guests talking together, and then Marco drawing crazy things all around. So
Yes,
I think
good idea.
this gets the podcast and the interview even more interesting.
Oh, it's a bear who drinking a glass of prosecco, I
I
think.
think so. I think so. And he will wear a
Okay,
mask
Stefano.
shortly, I
Yes.
think. No, Valdo
Yes.
Biadena. It's not Prosecco. It's Valdo Biadena. Yeah,
Ah.
that's
Oh.
another pretty good wine.
I should to taste. I should taste it.
Alexander, thanks so much again. We hope to see each other very soon, and we will let you know as soon as we broadcast this podcast video on our channel, so that you can also
Mhm.
share it if you like
Yeah, of
on your
course.
channels as well.
Stefano, thank you very much for this great opportunity to be a part of your podcast, to be a part of your advertising company, digital advertising company. It was very nice to get acquainted with you, and you are always welcome. We will be waiting for you and for your great team in Moscow after this quarantine time.
Really
So,
looking
see you.
forward. Thanks
See
so
you
much
later.
again. I'll see you.
Bye.
Ciao Alexandra. Grazie. Ciao ciao.